Hello
Yes,
everyone, welcome back to EduTap. And as you all know that IRDAI Grade A results were announced recently. So today we have Tajinder Kaur with us, who has recently cleared IRDAI Grade A exam. First of all, Tajinder, many congratulations to you from the entire team of EduTap.
thank you so much, sir.
Tajinder, how is the feeling right now because you have recently completed your one of the main goals to clear an exam in the regulatory body. So how you
Yes,
are feeling right now and are you happy with your success?
yes, sir. I'm very happy and very grateful also that I could clear this prestigious exam despite very less vacancies this year.
Hmm.
And everyone in my family is also very happy.
Right. So, Tajinder, first, I will request you to give your introduction to all the audience who are watching this particular video.
Yes. So my name is, as you mentioned, Tajinder Kaur, and I'm from Madhya Pradesh, Katni in Madhya Pradesh. I completed my graduation in BA in 2022.
Hmm.
And then I prepared for civil services for a couple of years. Currently, I'm also pursuing masters in sociology,
Hmm.
and I recently also cleared UGC NET in sociology.
Okay. Right. So, how did IRDAI came into the picture? Because you said that you were preparing for UPSC, you are doing masters in sociology,
Yes.
cleared UGC NET as well. So, how did IRDAI came into the picture?
So I appeared for the UPSC prelims this year as well in 2024, which was my third attempt, and I could not clear the prelims for the third time. So then I was like quite devastated, and I felt I should prepare for some other exams which are less unpredictable. And also, since I wanted to become financially independent and get a good job before the age of 25.
Okay.
So this year I am going to turn 25. So I decided for regulatory bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I explored some options and found regulatory bodies more doable because of the descriptive part. So I appeared for NABARD also with very less preparation, 15 to 20 days. And then IRDAI notification came out. So I read about the job profile and its functions and everything. And I
Right.
found it a very good opportunity.
Hmm. Now, you said that you have appeared for UPSC three times, right?
Yes.
And you are not able to clear prelims. But how do you bring yourself again back on the track? Because once the failure hits you, it hits you very hard, right? You are not able to
Mm.
wake up for a few days, you feel sad, and then you again
Mm.
go into this examination cycle. So, what is the reason of motivation for you? Like, why you were motivated to give the third attempt, and what was the motivating factor overall?
Mm. So initially I was only preparing for UPSC and I didn't even know about any other exam.
Hmm.
So my failure, the experience of all three failures has been very different from me. In my first failure, I was not at all disturbed.
Yes.
I thought maybe it is because of for my good only, because I was not well prepared for the mains.
Hmm.
So I didn't took that failure very at heart. And then
Right.
I started preparing for second attempt. I was quite confident and I cleared the GS cutoff as well in the second attempt, but I failed in CSAT. So that was a mixed feeling. I was also motivated by the fact that I was 16 marks above the GS cutoff.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But CSAT, I thought I need to work upon. So in
Hmm.
third attempt, I decided to give all out, and but somehow I could not clear the third time also. So that was very devastating, and the UPSC
Right.
cycle is also very long. So I got very impatient. So I decided to shift towards some
Hmm.
other exam.
But again, why you shifted? Like, what was the reason? Just because you wanted to get financially independent before 25?
That was one of the reasons, obviously, because financial independence,
Hmm.
especially for girls, should come at the right time. Otherwise, other unnecessary pressures start to
Hmm.
creep in.
Hmm.
And also because I needed some work experience and some exposure. Like I was stuck in a room for 3 years. So that was
Right.
really stressful for me.
Right. And how do you deal with stress? Like, once you are dealing with multiple, I would say, ifs and buts of the preparation as well, then UPSC. UPSC stuff also. So how do you deal with stress? Do you have any special hobbies or anything like that?
Yes. Yes, sir. I like working out and meditating and reading books other than the syllabus, like some self-improvement books. And
Right.
also, my family support is very strong. So my family
Mhm.
always motivate me to continue to put effort. Yes,
Hmm. Cool. As you mentioned, your family, like usually what we see is like when the results are out, usually the final one, people usually go and celebrate with their family and all that stuff. So was
yes.
the like was it the same case with you? Like when the results were
Uh,
out, you also were like going all out with your family or what?
yes, sir. Actually, the results came out at 10:30 in the night. So I
Hmm.
first of all I told my mother. My father was not in the home at that time.
Hmm.
And then she was very happy, and the next day only we decided to go out for dinner and all that, eating
Right.
celebrations.
These are the moments you live for, right?
Yes,
Now let's come to your preparation strategy for EDI phase one first. Now in phase one, there are quant, reasoning, English, and CA. First, tell me your strategy related to quant and reasoning. I'm assuming that you are kind of average student in quant and reasoning. You can correct
yes,
me if
sir.
I'm wrong. Okay. But what was your
No, sir,
strategy for
I'm
quant and
completely average, or in fact below average also, it
okay.
can be said.
Hmm.
Because so my strategy was to practice on my speed.
Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
of the topics I was familiar with because of the CSAT preparation. The CSAT
Hmm.
again is
Hmm.
very different from this exam. So the reason that the fact that IRD quant and reasoning is relatively easy compared to
Hmm.
other regulatory.
Yes.
So all I had to work was on speed, and there were some topics that were I was completely unfamiliar with, like
Hmm.
puzzles and reasoning,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
some of the topics in quant. So I tried to watch some videos for some tricks and everything, and that's how I did. So the
Right.
main strategy was to practice and give as many mock tests as
So
possible.
any rough idea that how many mocks you would have attempted? The full length mocks, I mean.
Yeah, full length. I was attempting almost one mock every day, so
Hmm.
above 30 I had attempted.
Right. And how was your analysis part? Because giving mock is a different thing.
Yeah.
Analyzing the mistakes is also a different thing. So did you also analyze the mistakes which you are doing in all these mocks which you have given?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Mocks were in fact very helpful to strategize how I would go about the
Hmm.
paper in the real exam. So it helped me find out because there was no sectional time. So we had to allocate time very judiciously.
Hmm.
So after like 8 or 10 mocks, I had figured out what is working for me. So I would like start with GA. I would aim for completing GA section within 7 to 8 minutes, and then move to English because these two were quite doable for me. So my
Hmm.
target used to be to complete GA and English within 30 minutes, and then 1 year I would 1 hour I would devote to
Hmm.
reasoning and quant.
Right.
And reasoning also, I would leave the puzzles for the later part because
Hmm. Hmm.
sometimes I would find myself stuck in puzzles and waste a lot of time.
Right. And
Yes.
were you practicing all the topics of quant, like DI, time and work, time and speed? Were you practicing all the topics or did you selected only some of it?
No, I watched the videos for conceptual clarity for almost all the topics,
Hmm.
and practice. When it comes to practice, it depended on the mocks, whichever questions are coming.
Hmm.
And if I was unable to solve any question, then I would try to solve it after the mock is over.
You watched the videos of Vishnu sir in the course, or was it some other?
Yes, BD sir, yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Vishnu
sir.
sir. VD sir is the acronym of Vishnu
I
sir.
also used to watch his videos for CSAT.
Right.
His strategy is very
Cool. And there is a multiple students. There are multiple students who ask me this doubt. So I need your help to address this doubt as well. Like time is limited in quant and reasoning, right? So there
yes.
is an art of picking the questions. Like how will you
Yes.
pick the question that defines whether you are in or out? So what will be your piece of advice to a student who is facing this problem?
So I would say that first one should identify their own strengths and weaknesses.
Hmm.
So So one should like play on their strengths, the areas and topics that they are confident about. Like in reasoning for me, syllogism and non and verbal reasoning, inequality, etc. were my strengths. I was pretty fast and accurate in these topics. So, but puzzles were a problem.
Hmm.
So that's how one should like figure out what is working for you and
Hmm.
strategize beforehand because you cannot be very spontaneous in the process.
Right. So this comes with mocks only, I think, right? That what
Yes,
is your strength and what is your weakness.
yes.
Now, what about English? Were you comfortable with English or were like was this the same case with quant and reasoning only?
No, English I was quite comfortable with. So all I did
Hmm.
was attempted mocks. Yeah.
Right. And now let's come to the elephant in the room, which is GA. GA is like
Mm.
very, very big, almost like 40 marks in your exam. So how did you
Yes.
tackle current affairs and what was your overall strategy?
For GA, I only covered the 3 months current affairs from
Hmm.
the EduTap magazines that were included in the course.
Hmm.
And that was, I felt, more than enough if we are
Hmm.
covering it thoroughly and revising it thoroughly. Other than that, I also covered the summary of economic survey and budget. And in addition to that, if I find any question in mock test that I have not covered through magazine, then I would make notes of those topics.
Hmm. Right. And were you covering all type of GA, like, or was it any specific domain? Like people usually confuse that schemes, IRDAI, like schemes related to IRDAI, reports related to IRDAI, वही करना चाहिए, or should you also do government current affairs, PIB news, ESI news? So what type of current affairs you were targeting?
I only referred to magazine and I didn't
Okay,
divert here and there.
right. So whatever there is in magazine, you try to cover that as
Yeah, and for
well.
additional, I would, as I said, that I would make notes of the mock model, mocks, the answers that are provided in the mock.
Right, right, right. Cool. Any pro tip from your end for that particular student who is preparing for 2025 IRDAI exam, which can leverage
Yes.
his or her performance?
My tip would be that first of all, identify your strengths and weaknesses because no one size fits
Hmm.
all. So, if you are like good in GA or if you're good in quant and reasoning, but you struggle in writing answers,
Hmm.
so work on that. And this year, I assume the competition would be higher because it's certain
Hmm.
for everyone that the notification will come.
Hmm.
So they can prepare, they can start preparation as early as possible. Some of the
Right,
aspirants might have already started.
right. And as you said, competition is going to increase, right? Because the notification is
Yes,
quite certain. But
yes,
this time also the cutoffs have increased in your time, 2024.
yes.
If I'm not wrong, in 2023, the cutoff, the overall cutoff was something around 80s, 90s.
87,
Yeah,
87,
80s,
yes,
90s, and this time it has increased to 109, if I'm not wrong, the phase one
yes.
cutoff. So, how, like, were you expecting that cutoff will zoom up to 109 out of that to
Uh,
160?
yes, sir, I felt that it would be above 100 at least because in the comment section also a lot of people were saying that they attempted 140, 135. And there were many videos on YouTube that provide analysis and all that.
Mhm.
So I expected that it's going to be higher.
Right. And you were expecting it to be high. And do you remember your overall attempts you have done in your phase one,
Yes, 122.
122? So your accuracy would be damn good, right?
I actually scored 108.25. I had applied from the EWS.
Okay, right. Now let's come to the phase two part of your preparation. That is ESI impacting insurance, descriptive English, and your, I would say, insurance and management. Right. Now, when it comes to insurance and management was totally new to you. In fact, insurance as well,
Yes,
because you would have
insurance
not,
also.
right, you would have not covered these subjects in your UPSC duration,
Yes.
right? So, how did you cover management first of all?
So I refer to the notes, not even notes, I just refer to the summary of the notes provided in the
Right,
course.
right.
And I felt that was more than enough.
Hmm.
So I just took a 1 day break after phase one and then I started preparing for phase two.
Hmm.
And I started with insurance and management only because these subjects were new to me. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, my strategy was to just revise, read the topics, revise them. It was
Hmm.
very generic, nothing much technical was there.
Hmm.
And also, I used to practice the mock. They were like chapter-wise practice questions given
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
course. So I would practice one or two questions after every chapter, and for the rest, I would like go through the model answers and make notes out of it if I'm getting any value addition points, any example or data. So that's how
Right.
I build the content. Yes.
So, like management, many students complains it's boring because it's totally, I would say, what theory after theory after theory.
Yes.
So, didn't you find management as boring? If yes, then how did you tackle it?
Yes, I also find some of the topics boring, but some topics like leadership and communication were interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they were quite generic also, so you can do with two revisions also. All you need to do is just I made notes of the factual information, like the names of the scholars for the last
Mm-hmm.
minute revision. And that also helps in value addition.
Right. And did you like you talked about revision just few seconds before? So, what
Yes.
was your strategy for revision? And this strategy, I hope, would have been common for all the subjects. So, what was your strategy?
Yes. So since the gap between phase one and phase two was not too much.
Hmm.
So I did not aim for like five, six revisions. My strategy was to revise one or two times and directly start practicing. Because when we
Right.
practice answer writing and then evaluate it, we retain that
Mhm.
information for longer. So this I had learned through UPSC only that writing is the best way to remember.
And like, what amount of answers you used to write in a single day?
Two to three questions at least in a single day, or sometimes even more.
Okay, so
And apart from that, I also attempted five full length mock tests like for each paper, so
so if
15 in
I'm
total.
wrong, like just correct me. I'm making one statement. Two to three answers you are writing on everyday basis,
Yes,
and this too with pen and paper, the UPSC approach, right?
yes,
And these are the minimum, like two, threes at least.
yes.
Right. And this happened for how many days? Like, was it like completely done
For
for
one
you?
month.
One
No,
month.
no, 1 month. Then after that, I started full length mocks.
Okay. So 1 month. So roughly you would have written 200 to 300 answers if I just make a big
Yes,
picture.
so, two registers were filled in that.
That's too much of practice, I would say.
Yes.
Because students are like when we tell students to write an answer, they are like very recurrent. They are like, sir, how I will
Mm,
write. But in your case, you are filling two registers of answers and answers. So that's a brilliant strategy to do. Now
yes.
coming to insurance. Now insurance again is bit technical because you've read
Right.
multiple concepts in insurance. So how did you tackle insurance and what was your overall approach?
As I said, I relied on the summary notes only
Mm-hmm.
and also referred to the summary of IRDAI annual report. I didn't find it much technically, so it was
Mm-hmm.
more or less understandable just by reading.
Right.
So that was all my strategy, and I also referred to the previous year papers. So some of the topics were like insurance principles, and some of the themes were being repeated in 2017 and 2023. So I
Right.
focused on those, and I also made a lot of value addition, especially from the current affairs also and from the report also for the last
Mm.
minute revision. I think that really helped. That's what makes one's answer stand out.
Right. Cool. So again, the same strategy, use summary sheet to its best, right?
Yes, yes.
Cool. And
And while
in
also one thing I would like to add, while I was preparing GA for the phase one, then also I was mindful of phase two. So if I'm getting any news, any policy released launched by any company that is relevant. For example,
Mhm.
I remember there was There was an Elevate policy launched by ICICI that had used artificial intelligence or something.
Mm-hmm.
I would note down all those facts so that I can use them in examples in the phase two.
Right. So you are perfect student to answer all the descriptive related doubts. I will come to it. But first tell me, how did you tackle ESI impacting insurance? Again, the same strategy using summary sheets and doing
Yes,
the
yes, very simple strategy.
right.
And in ESI, I was also familiar with some of the topics
Hmm.
of economics, and there was a topic related to SDGs and
Hmm.
taxing insurance. So I had some knowledge base that also helped.
Right. Now, talk to me regarding your descriptive writing because you are saying that you have filled 2 to 3 registers. So
Yes.
this comes with practice, I think, right? You cannot just write answers like anything. Many students ask me, sir, how would I be able to complete the word limit, which is ours in IRDAI? So do you also face this problem that you are not able to complete the word limit and any other problem which you were facing and then you recovered from that problem?
Actually, in the mock test, I was able to complete the papers,
Hmm.
all the papers in time. And answer writing was not very new to me because I practiced a lot for UPSC also, even though I never cleared prelims yet.
Not
Uh,
an issue.
but I used to practice for a
Your
lot.
skills
So I
came
had,
useful in this year.
yeah, yes. Yes. So I was familiar with the structure, like how
Hmm.
you write introduction and then points,
Hmm,
and
hmm,
how to link the knowledge, write examples. These are the
hmm.
things I had command over. But
Right.
unfortunately, in the real exam, I had missed one numerical, if I remember.
Okay. One numerical in
One or two
finance.
numericals. Yeah, because numericals I hadn't practiced.
Right, right, right. And there are multiple, cliches which says that you have to hit the word limit every time. You have to write with beautiful handwriting. You have to draw out all that, flowcharts and diagrams. So how will you answer all these cliches? The first one is that you have to hit word limit all the time. So was this the case with you also? Like you are hitting the word limit all the time?
So for the answers that I had written, I used to fill all the space that is
Hmm.
given.
Okay.
Even if one thinks that they would not be able to complete the word limit, you can use some tricks like write big handwriting. Just try to fill the space.
Hmm.
It looks better,
Right.
I feel.
So it's like
But
optimum utilization of space.
yes, yes.
Right.
But even
And
if you are not able to, I don't think that would be much of a problem if the quality of answer is good.
right. And the second cliche is regarding that you need to have a beautiful Shakespeare kind of handwriting. That you have to make sure that each and every word is looking very much cool and sorted out. So
No,
is this required?
not at all, sir. In fact, the only feedback that I was getting in my mock test was that my handwriting is a major problem.
Okay.
Other than that, I was getting decent feedback. So it
Right.
wasn't even very legible. I
Hmm.
worked on it, but I don't think my handwriting is
Hmm.
easily understandable also.
Hmm. Right.
Like,
And the third one is regarding the usage of flowcharts, like the diagrams, the T diagram. So were you using these diagrams in your answers or is this just a cliche?
uh, it can be used. I don't think it makes a lot of difference in your marks. It's
Mhm.
more about the content that you've written.
Mhm.
But if
Right.
you're comfortable and you believe that you can write that in a neat and tidy manner and complete the paper, then it's good. But I didn't use many flowcharts because there were lines already in the. It was a
Right.
lined paper, not plain as UPSC. Yeah. So it was
Mhm.
unnecessarily looking untidy.
Right. Nice. And were you making any special notes for your preparation or were you completely relying on the summary sheets which were provided to you by EduTap?
I solely relied on the summary sheets only.
Hmm.
But I just made 10 to 15 page notes of the factual details, factual information, data, examples from the summary sheet also, from the report and from current affairs if I'm getting. So that
Right.
for the last minute revision, so that it is on my fingertips while writing the.
Right. And were your notes too much bulky? Because you have mentioned about multiple details. So if you make notes, it becomes bulky. And when they become bulky, definitely it's very tough to revise from it. So was this the
No,
case with you?
No, sir, I just made 15 pages of factual information that we tend to forget. I did not make any other notes.
Right. So your notes were not that much bulky. You were able to revise everything.
Yes, it was solely value addition, nothing.
Now, before I come to the last paper, which is English descriptive, I want to take some
Yes,
tips related to time management as well, because you are a full-time student, right? So once you
yes,
are a full-time student, that, fear comes into the picture that if I'm not selected, then entire year I have to sit back at home, right?
yes,
So,
yes.
like, there are multiple students who are listening to this video. How will you advise them to keep this fear away and to focus on just on preparation? And by the way, how many hours you were studying in a day?
I used to study 7 to 8 hours. Yeah.
Hmm. And
And the fear kind wala question, I
Mhm.
would say that this is probably the only thing that I changed. Because in UPSC, I used to be always dreading before the paper. I would be extremely anxious and negative all the time. But in
Mhm.
this exam, I made it a point that I'm not going to entertain any negative thought or any anxiety. I used techniques like meditation, and I was also reading this book, The Secret.
Right.
So, have you read it?
No.
So, yeah. So, it talks a lot about like manifestation and staying positive. It basically says that thoughts are things. What you think is what you will experience.
Hmm. Can
So,
you
I
please
was very
repeat the name
positive
of the book?
throughout.
Secrets.
The Secret.
The Secrets.
Yeah.
Who is the author of this book?
Rhonda Bryan, I guess.
Okay, I will surely read it. Actually, I do
It's a
read,
very popular
but I
book.
de I
You
do read,
should.
but I read some business books which helps me to make sure that I'm thinking in the right direction. But surely I will take your
Yeah.
recommendation. Now let's
Yes.
come to English descriptive. English
Yes. Yes.
descriptive in India is totally a different ballgame because you have essays, you have letters, you have statement completions, you have multiple other questions as well. So how did you
Yes.
make your preparation for an English descriptive? And I hope UPSC preparation would have helped, but there are some questions
Yes.
like letters, there are some questions like complete the statement, which are not there seen in your UPSC. So how
Yes.
do
Yes.
you tackle English descriptive over here?
So initially I was kind of neglecting it, but I very soon realized, thankfully, that I should not take it for granted. So there were some videos in the course itself. For English only, I refer to the videos.
Hmm.
Uh, so to understand the basic principles of letter writing and précis writing, I made notes of those videos so that I'm like practicing in the right direction.
Hmm.
And that helped. And other than that, just mock test.
Hmm. Right. And again, that same strategy of making answers, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Essay, for essay also, for essay I had some practice because of UPSC.
Mhm.
But the other topics were new.
Hmm. Right. Now, were you expecting a positive result for your phase two? Because you said that you missed some numericals in finance.
Yes, sir.
So,
But I was very positive throughout the preparation cycle. I don't know why. Maybe because of that book. I was only visualizing that I have achieved it. Yeah.
right.
I was
So,
almost doubtless. Yeah.
so this was continued in phase one also, right? That you were practicing.
Right from the phase one till the result.
Right.
I
Now let's
remember my father asked me 1 or 2 days before, like right after the interview, that how confident you are to find your name in the list. So I said 100%. Yeah.
so it's like you know that you will be selected in EDI.
No, I was just believing it.
Hmm. So
You can never
can we
know.
call this the power of positive realization or something like that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry, sir.
So can we call this as a power of realization or manifestation?
It can be said. It would be a very far-fetched claim, but
Hmm.
it has worked for me.
Right. So being positive helps you when you are studying for any regulatory bodies exam, right?
Yes, in life in general also, we are able
Yes.
to work more productively also.
Right. Now let's come to the interview. Once you were like expecting a positive result for your phase two preparation, like how did you started your interview preparation? Why like you or like you giving mock test of this particular interviews as well? And what sources you refer for interview? Basically, how did
Uh,
you prepare for
yeah.
interview?
For interview, I just covered the DAF first of all,
Hmm.
and what the questions that can be expected, because everyone was saying that it is mostly profile based only.
Right.
So I revised my sociology and some other subjects.
Mhm.
And other than that, I also revised the insurance topics. And I was also watching the current affairs analysis. That's
Right.
all I did. And I would do a lot of mirror practice and everything.
Mhm. Right. And what was the overall analysis of the interview day? Once you go into the room, once you come out, were you happy with all the performance that you have done?
Actually, I'm not very sure how the interview went because we don't know on what parameters they are giving the scores.
Hmm.
So my experience was decent. Most of the questions I was able to answer. There were a couple of questions that I could not answer, which is
Right.
obvious. Yeah.
And are you able to recall any question which give you stress during the interview?
Yes, sir. The first question was quite simple, that what were you thinking? You have been waiting outside for so long.
Huh.
So that I said that I was meditating. And
Right.
then the chairperson asked about the insurance principles. Asked me to mention some of the insurance principles. So I mentioned some, and then there was a follow-up question on the insurable interest. So he said that suppose you are in the authority to sell a policy, and there is a woman who's not making money, but
Mhm.
her husband will pay the premium, and she wants to purchase a life insurance of a certain amount, 50 lakh or something.
Mhm.
So does she have any insurable interest since she's not making money? Would you sell the policy and all that? That would be
Right. So it's
question.
a bit tricky question, right?
Yes, in any of my mock interview, I was not asked any such situation-based question.
Right. Cool.
So,
And were you feeling stress before the interview? Because once you go into the DI building, they will wait you for some time and then you will get
yeah.
your chance. So were you stressful? If yes, then how did you tackle it?
I was actually less stressful than I expected.
Hmm.
I don't know why the vibe was like that. Everyone was quite nervous.
Hmm.
So that gave me confidence that everyone is like me
Right.
only.
You were
And
kind of chill.
yeah, and my whole technique of managing stress at any moment is deep breathing. So I was doing that.
Right. Cool. And you already told to me that you how did you celebrated your results. But still, I would say once you see your result, once you see your roll number on that PDF, you feel liberated, right? Because after a
Yes,
very bad journey in UPSC, now you have
yes, yes,
got success. So, what
yes.
was the feeling on that day when you saw your roll number on the PDF, and what were you doing on that particular day and time?
I was just sitting on my phone only, and the IRDI website was already open since 3 days in my laptop, and everyone was waiting for the results
Right,
desperately. So yeah, I was checking the results only when the results came out, and I was
right,
very happy and very grateful also because balance
right.
with gratitude.
Actually, your video is paused. Uh, are you able to see me?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now your video is your internet connection looks unstable, but it's okay. We will get it adjusted. Now,
Yes,
one last question before we end this particular interview. Like I'm giving you one case, you just have to answer it. Right. There is one student who is starting their journey of EDAI Grade A today only. They are watching this
yes,
particular interview. What will be a piece of advice to him or her so that they can clear this particular exam? And it can be of any phase one, phase two, or phase three. But I need
yes,
a kind of a word of wisdom from you that will motivate that particular person.
yes, sir.
Mm.
So first of all, I would say that uh, believing oneself is the most important thing. To believe in your ability that you can do it. and then strategize smartly. It's not just about hard work. So identify the areas that you need to work on and try and analyze the past year questions and the syllabus also thoroughly, and then act accordingly.
Right. And one more last question before we wind up. There are many UPSC aspirants who are not able to find success in UPSC, right? They are not able to clear prelims or mains or interview, whatever stage it is. So do you think
Yes,
for UPSC aspirants, IRDAI is a good plan B?
yes, sir, for sure. Not just ADI, but all the regulatory bodies exam,
Yes.
I feel UPSC background having some sort of edge.
And
Yes.
by the way, how much time you took for your overall IRDAI preparation?
I started the preparation, I guess, 11th of September, I started.
Right.
Yeah.
So in months, can you tell me the number like 2 to 3 months, something like that?
Yes, right from that time to phase two, I was a regular. So like
Right.
2.5 months.
Right. So in
Phase
2.5 months, you are ready for IRDAI Grade A exam if you have given UPSC or if you have done enough attempts in UPSC, right?
Yes.
Cool. So that's it from my end. I have asked multiple questions related to your strategy, related to your force of motivation and everything. Thank you so much for
Yes.
coming on our channel and giving this interview. And again, many, many congratulations for your success at IRDAI.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure for me. And if this strategy helps anyone, that would be a great pleasure for
Surely
me.
it will help for all those students who are not able to find success in UPSC. And I think many students who are like, they are searching for topper tips. This particular video will help them a lot. So thank you all the
Yes.
students. I hope you would have enjoyed this particular video itself and keep preparing. And we hope that in 2025, you will replace Tejinder and you will be sitting over here to give the interview. Thank you so much. This is the end.